This is the Formula One Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix 2023. Welcome back to the F1 Side Pod. It's 2023. My name's Cody.
I'm Paul.
And Noah is currently stuck in September 29th, 1882, the day before the electric home was
The first house
invented.
with electricity was lit up.
Yeah.
He's living the day before right now.
Yeah, so he has no electricity, and we couldn't stand the smell because he cannot take a shower right now.
And we're not letting him use our shower.
Yeah, so we had to kick him out. So he probably didn't even see the race today. He's gonna have to wait like hundreds of years before he can watch this race. So
Yeah.
but this is the first race of the season,
Yes.
2023 season. And we just want to congratulate Max Verstappen on being world champion 3 years running.
It's great. It is great.
He's already sealed it up. Nothing can happen at this point. Don't quote this in 8 months and tell us we're wrong.
I think it's a safe bet.
It seems like it, yeah.
Unless they just really fall behind on development
Which
compared
isn't
to the other teams.
what Red Bull does.
Yeah, I mean, they're known for that, right?
Yeah. So first off, we're gonna apologize for if you hear background noise. There's a new puppy and apparently a dog that's been riled up by other dogs outside. So shit happens. It'll get better as it goes on. You'll hear the how grown up everything gets here as you hear the puppy less and less. But
Right.
for the top five for the Bahrain GP, we've got Verstappen P1, of course. Perez P2.
Of course.
Yeah. Alonso P3, of course. Nice. So, we all knew he was going to get up there. Sainz P4, Hamilton P5.
I didn't know that he was going to get up there.
No, it did. I did hear they said, so during one of the days of testing, they had Felipe Drugovich on, and they had him throw up fingers of where he thought Fernando was going to land.
Yeah.
And he threw up 4. And they didn't call it out. They just remembered it for after the race. They were like, we're not going to put you on blast here.
Yeah.
And if Leclerc's car didn't die on him, he would have been P4.
Yeah.
So,
I guess it was Perez and Verstappen last season, but it looks like Ferrari took a page
just
out
don't
of
win the first race.
Red Bull playbook of like, let's let our engines crap out in Bahrain.
now here's the thing. I have heard, I think it's like the past 8 years, that the person who has gone on to win the Drivers' Championship did not win the first race of the season.
Oh,
So if that's the case,
that's not the
we've
case.
crowned Verstappen too early.
No, we haven't.
No, there's no like.
This is
Well,
no
I'm not
way.
saying there's no way. I mean,
What
unless
was he, like 13 seconds ahead of Perez? Or
it was something
like that?
a lot. I mean, he was.
And then Perez
12.
was like another 10 ahead of
So he
Leclerc
was.
before, I guess, Alonso.
Let's see. Is this from leader? Yeah. Okay. So Perez was almost 12 seconds behind Verstappen.
Okay.
Alonso was 38 and a half seconds behind Verstappen.
Yeah.
So
Verstappen could have just casually took another pit.
Verstappen could have halfway through the lap gotten out of the car and ran probably, and still, or as soon as he gets to the edge of the straight, just gotten out and ran
Across the line.
and still probably come in first. But so great day for Red Bull. Obviously, they 1 and 2 on the grid, take off, finish 1 and 2. Great day for Aston Martin. Like everybody saw. I mean, they did good in testing. They looked positive. They took people from Red Bull and Mercedes, and they were like, hey, make us a car that's better than both of those. And I mean, they looked promising, but I didn't actually expect. I don't know what to expect from Alonso. He seems to drive the hell out of anything, but I didn't expect Lance Stroll to be P6.
Yeah, especially with his busted up wrist that looked like it was causing him a ton of trouble in FP1 and 2 and 3 and qualifying. And you saw it in the race too, like him taking his left hand thumb out of the thumb hole just to push the steering wheel up on that turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's nuts to try to even do that.
When I was watching FP1 and 2 Friday, I was just saying, like, there's no way he's going to be able to race this race. Is like, how about we just cut our losses and have Drogovic drive FP3 and do the qualifying?
Yeah, I mean it's nuts to break your wrist. Well, I think he only broke one and he hurt the other one.
Yeah, because he has pins and stuff.
Yeah, but to break your wrist and like a week later drive a car going like 200 miles an hour, making super tight turns. Yeah, that's insane. But Aston Martin currently P2 in the constructor standings. Yeah. After that, because they finished, Alonso finished above Hamilton, and Stroll finished above Russell.
No,
and then
Ferrari
only had
get the points they were hoping they would.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ferrari looks good.
If Ferrari if they don't have any more engine issues, like I think they could easily be P2, P3 this season.
Oh yeah, I think they got P2. Mercedes is kind of on the back
I'm not going to
foot.
say that they have P2 just because Aston looks really good. Yeah. Unless they just fall behind on development.
But I mean, Lawrence Stroll's got that money to get his baby boy that trophy. But I mean, yeah, Ferrari looked good until Leclerc's motor died. And let's see. The note I put was Leclerc has terrible luck again.
Yeah, I know. Well, he was having just terrible luck, and it was like strategy based last season. Yeah, it seemed like everything that strategy that would go wrong it benefited Sainz over Leclerc.
Yeah. And this year they were on Plan A for this race. They weren't on Plan E. They weren't on Plan G.
Right? Did they? They fired their strategist.
They moved him. They relocated him.
Right.
I think he's at their headquarters now, and they brought in somebody else.
Yeah, he's like an engineer. Now at headquarters. Yeah.
Yeah. So just unfortunate. Hopefully they get back into it, because I think not that Aston didn't prove anything, but I think Ferrari's potentially the only ones that can really give Red Bull a
run for the
tight
money.
Run,
and it still wasn't that tight.
Yeah, I mean it's it may be a year of looking at the midfield. But speaking of the midfield, everything is shifted this year. I mean, starting with Aston Martin actually maybe not being in the midfield, right? Maybe being in the top.
Maybe Mercedes dropping down to the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, and then the other finishers that weren't the four teams that we've talked about already. Valtteri Bottas, basically best of the rest.
Well, it's that mullet and stash.
Yeah, that he had on his testing helmet.
Yeah.
Pierre Gasly finishing P9, which I didn't think was going to happen. Yeah, he was out in Q1.
Well, and because, he's driving for
Alpine
now. Yeah, that's right.
And then Alex Albon getting 1 point for Williams.
Yeah, that was
Williams
awesome.
Is not in last.
I know, that's crazy.
They didn't have to wait till to get super lucky in a mid to late round race and get a point. Yeah, and Logan Sargent was P12.
Well, yeah, and I was good for the Williams, but I was also impressed with Tsunoda and his AlphaTauri, because they did not look good in testing or at free practice. So, yeah, I was surprised to see Tsunoda bring that car up. Where he was, he like 13th, 14th?
Tsunoda was 11th. He was pushing. 11th. He was pushing Albon for points right at the end of the race. They finished within less than a second of each other. Or, well, just over a second. It looks like he probably let off when he realized he wasn't going to be able to pass him. Yeah. But, yeah, he was fighting him at the end right there. And Logan Sargent was P12. So, I mean, Williams...
The American.
Yeah, Williams may not be the worst this year. So, we have to talk about who could potentially be the worst this year. McLaren looks really bad.
Well, and then okay, so...
So Piastri very early
was out, but what was his issue?
I think they thought it was electrical issue. Basically, he came in for a pit. I think they saw some issues. He came in for a pit, and I think couldn't get the car started or something.
They thought it was coming from the steering wheel. They were going to swap out his steering wheel, and then it wouldn't start back up.
So they were just like, well, I guess we're out. And then
Norris was losing.
Hydraulic pressure, is that what it was?
I don't know if it was hydraulic or
I don't know if they necessarily said
pressure,
exactly
but it was
what
something
it was.
for some engine system.
Yeah, and so he had to
5 times.
I don't even. Let me see if I can find it.
Was what I.
But it was a ton. He had to. The fact,
just
honestly,
to top that off.
Honestly, at that point, you're not.
I would have just called
winning.
It.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you were gonna.
You're not winning. You're not competing for points if you've got to do like a 6-pit race,
and you're risking engine
Yeah, you're risking
sucking up your
major
engine.
damage.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, just keep the miles off of it and bring it in. Like that seemed kind of weird. Unless they did run, I think, the least amount of laps at testing. Unless they were like, hey, it runs fine when it's got this, so let's just use this as more testing.
Yeah.
But it was just rough. It was a rough day for McLaren, and those major upgrades that they say they've got coming within the month.
Well, maybe
come too soon.
Danny Rick got out just in time.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough. I hope they at least do a little bit better this year, because I mean, honestly, Norris and Piastri, I think, can
Norris
make
is
some
a good
damage.
driver.
Yeah, I think Piastri can get up there. I mean, he's still new to the
and
car.
that's how you can tell too, like, because Norris is a good driver. That's how you can, like, now it's even more obvious that it's the freaking car and how it's designed. It's not the drivers.
Well, and like, I think Norris is very loyal to McLaren because they gave him his opportunity, but I think if they don't give him a good car next year and or show him something that makes him think that, because they'll have their aero testing thing, their air
CMD,
whatever they're developing, their air tunnel, their wind tunnel.
Oh,
there we go.
yeah.
Could not think of that. They'll have that next year up and running for the whole year. So unless they can make him feel good by the end of the year, and that they'll do better when they have that, he may leave.
Isn't that what was finished for Aston this year? It was some testing facility.
I think so. I think they just got it finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think
I'm on the second or third upgrade of my aero system for my Williams
in F1
team.
Manager.
In F1 Manager, yeah. So I think
it does make a big difference, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel bad for both of the McLaren boys, especially Piastri. The big deal of him coming to McLaren and not going to Alpine to then have a shitbox car at the beginning of the season. But I mean, realistically, the Alpine didn't look that much better. Gasly ended up getting ninth. Ocon, what did I put? My note was Ocon penalty box champ.
Yeah, what was it? He totaled 35 seconds
that's what they said.
Worth of penalties.
So we'll go through this. He got a 5-second penalty for not lining up correctly.
Yeah, he rolled.
He was a little bit too far past the line.
Yep.
So he gets that. He also had front wing damage. He comes in, instead of serving the penalty, they immediately start taking off the front wing.
Yep, which got him a 10-second penalty.
Yeah,
for
and
not
so if you
serving his penalty.
to I guess spell out the rules, if you come into the pits, you have to serve the penalty
before anything touches the car.
And
they were saying even before even just a cooling fan touches the brakes to cool them off.
Yeah, and so, but if it's at the end of the race and you're not pitting again, you don't have to come in. They'll just add it on.
Add it on your phone.
But if you come in, you have to serve it.
Yeah.
So they immediately start fixing his wing. So then he gets a 10-second penalty for that. He also gets, I think, a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And then he gets, I think and then he gets, what was it? He got, I think he still had to serve the previous 5-second penalty that wasn't actually served or something like that. But basically, by the time he pits for his second time, they're like, hey, we're so far behind, and with this big penalty, we're not going anywhere. We're just going to sit this car down.
Yeah.
And take him out of the race. And at that point, I don't blame him. Yeah. Honestly, I think McLaren should have done that a little bit earlier with Norris's issues. But really, I mean, he didn't. I mean, I guess he had a broken wing for most of the race, but he didn't look that great. I mean, Gasly, honestly, I was expecting him kind of to be a flop. I mean, I just didn't have big confidence in him this season for whatever reason. But him getting up there into the points from
that's the thing. I think Gasly's a fine driver, and I don't know. I don't think Red Bull gave him a good enough shot.
Yeah.
He didn't even get a full season, did he?
I think he only had a half season. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think they got rid of him a little too soon.
Yeah.
But I like Perez a lot. And I'm really going to... I mean, it's going to be sad when they boot him at the end of this season and get Danny Rick in the seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or, hey, you know what? People have said this, I don't think jokingly, but if they got rid of Perez and Norris was ready to leave McLaren, I mean, I don't think Norris wants to be a number 2 driver, but you would have comfortably the best pairing on the grid.
Yeah, because like Verstappen and Norris, they're big E-racers with each other too. So they like already kind of like hang out online doing that type of stuff all the time. So they're used to being kind of a teamish. I guess it's different, but yeah.
But yeah, and then Haas looked good. Hulkenberg looked good, sticking it up into Q3.
They look good, and getting into the Q3 on qualifying was awesome, and that was the thing. I thought they looked a lot better in practice and qualifying than they did in the actual race.
Yeah, it was kind of a race pace issue that seems.
But I think it's still. I think they're looking better every year, which is I'm really glad because that means Gunther's going to stay.
Yeah,
I really like
we can't have an emotional him
Haas
leaving.
Is slowly becoming my number 2 favorite team.
And I mean, man, I don't know. Yeah, I was looking at the constructors now after this race. 3 teams without points: AlphaTauri, Haas, and McLaren.
Yeah.
And McLaren apparently has big upgrades coming. Hopefully, it's what they need. But I mean, this wasn't even that the car was necessarily slow. When Norris had things working correctly, he was making ground on people. But then
he was
technical started failing.
Yeah, because he was coming up on because he was trying to get out of it, unlap himself, and he was coming up on Hamilton.
Yeah,
but then he had to pit again to get top off.
More. Yeah, and so I mean, that's the thing. Reliability issues are a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so if you've got a slow car and it's unreliable, that's not great. But it doesn't seem like the car is the worst car. It's just this was not a good outing for them, and I feel bad for them.
Well, and that's what sucks too. Is if it keeps coming up, it's going to be a second bad season in a row for them.
Yeah.
And actually, it's looking like this is going to be worse than last season. They're not even having bad seasons, but this one's looking better than last bad season. It's looking worse than last year.
Yeah, yeah. So then the other thing, I mean, not necessarily in the midfield, but we got to hit on just Alonso.
Yes.
I mean, because that guy. He's talked up Aston. Apparently, they've said that his input on the car design and everything has been totally, helping them get to where they're at right now. And
he knows what
the hell he's doing.
He knows what a fast car is and what he needs to win.
Yeah. Well, and I heard somebody talk about. They said that when Alonso's racing, he uses 25% of his brain power to race, and the other 75% to figure out where everything else is.
Too. And then the other. And the other 15-20 to ask how Stroll's doing.
Yeah. But I mean, the dude. I mean, because he was like, "How far away from this? Can I do this with the tires? Oh, okay, they're doing this. I can do this, right?" And they were like, "Yep, you're right on."
And that sucked too with Sainz when he was when he was coming up on Sainz to pass him, and you heard over their radios they're like, Carlos, defend against Alonso's code over. He's like, if I defend now, I'm not going to have rear tires for the end of the race. Yeah, and I was like, damn, that sucks, and everyone knows that now because you just said that.
Yeah, and the commentators, they were like, as he was running up on Sainz, they were like, he's coming up on his protege and friend, and they're like, but I don't think he cares about that. And I was like, he doesn't. No, he doesn't give a shit who's driving that car in front of him.
He's the bad boy.
Yeah, but
the bad guy. That's what they were calling him in the Netflix.
But I mean, if that car stays being where it's at, he'll drive the absolute tires off of it.
Yeah.
And get the best he can out of it, which honestly is going to make Stroll look bad. Hopefully he can perform better when his wrist is not freshly broken.
Up. Yeah.
But I mean, it's awkward because they're going to give the better strategy to Stroll. And I'm sure that it'll get maybe to the point that Alonso complains about that. Maybe not, but
oh no, I don't think Stroll could outpace Alonso.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I think they'll want to give it to Stroll, but then
even if they do Alonso, if Alonso's is up on his ass or just ahead of him anyway, they're gonna have to give up position if. But I mean, as long
as it's not like Alonso finishing third and Stroll finishing out of the points. Yeah. But if it gets to that big of a margin, I think it's going to be awkward to keep Stroll. But they're going to keep him anyways. It's just everybody's going to bitch about it.
Yeah. As long as what's his dad's name?
Lawrence.
Lawrence Stroll still owns it. He's going to buy his baby boy that trophy.
Yeah. He's like, I'll buy you a replica. He's like, it's not the same.
It's not the same, Dad.
that was a live look into him telling him that before he bought a whole team for him. And then, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but everybody, I think, including me, thought the Williams was going to be just dog shit this year. Like, I had no confidence it was going to be.
I had confidence they were going to be better than last year, or it looks like they're going to be better than last year.
See, I didn't. I thought they'd be better than last year, but I thought everybody would be better than last year. McLaren may not be. And so I thought it was going to be just the whole crowd moving the same direction. Yeah. So it's still going to be the same lackluster. But I mean, Logan Sargent almost put Lando Norris out of qualifying. It's just that Lando Norris set the time first.
Right. And so he took priority.
And so he gets priority, which I didn't know that was a thing, because I'm sure when you go down to the, what would that be? Thousandth
of a second,
that you're probably not going to have that many ties.
Right.
But, I mean, yeah, Logan Sargent almost put Lando Norris out of qualifying. Albon gets P10, Sargent P12. I mean, the Williams actually looks pretty good. I mean, we'll see if that lasts.
And their air intake's really cool because it's a copper top Duracell battery.
Yeah. And guess what? Latifi's not out there dive bombing the person in first place.
I think that's the biggest thing for them is like they have that weak link out this year too.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, Albon was already looking really good last season, but then it's like you get a competent driver in Latifi's seat.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, Logan Sargent, everybody also was thinking Williams being potentially the slowest car, him being kind of the least experienced rookie coming in, that he may be the worst driver. But I mean, he didn't show that.
No.
You know, it's not a great car, but he actually performed pretty well in it.
Yeah.
And that's good because he's an American.
That was the controversy, was like they didn't think he was going to get his super license before the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people were saying, I think he finished P4 and F2 last year.
Right.
But for like a third of the season, he was just trying not to crash. And then they
made the Sargent rule and just got him in there.
No, that was they didn't have to make a new rule for him. That was Colton Herta. They were going to try to
that's right.
change the rules
Colton,
for.
Yeah. And it was Colton. He was IndyCar?
Yes.
He was on Andretti Racing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were going to try to change the rules for him. The FIA said no, so they went with Logan Sargent.
That's
instead.
right.
But he knew he could get enough points as long as he didn't crash out any of his last few races. Mm-hmm. So he was just driving to get points and not crash.
Driving to survive.
Yeah. Oh, that's why they call it that.
That's why they call it that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all for him.
Yeah, because they knew it was coming.
They knew it was coming. And then we didn't have a preseason episode, but I was reading some articles on the off season of the very high possibility of at least bringing one more team on the grid, possibly two.
Yeah.
And I know Cadillac and Andretti Racing are top contenders to get in one of those slots, which would be.
They are the most vocal.
They're the most vocal of it.
Because some people think that actually them being that vocal is negative for some reason. I don't fully get it.
I think it'd be really cool to have an actual full American team.
Well, what is he? The president of not FIA, but maybe F1 or something. Mohammed bin Sulayem or whatever. Had apparently said they want one more team, and they're open for two more teams.
Yeah.
When will that happen? I don't know, because
the other 26 is when they're
think that'd be most likely.
I think that's what I read was like stuff. That's when it was going to happen. It was like the big, if it's going to happen, it was because of the big engine changes, and because I think Cadillac's looking to be a supplier.
So they're
putting their hat in to be a supplier.
I don't think they're looking to be a supplier. The suppliers would be
sponsoring.
I think it'd be a sponsor,
kind of like the Aston Martin.
Yeah,
thing.
Because so it would be the 6 engine sponsors that have signed up, which I think that's closed
Audi,
now.
Porsche.
Porsche. Did Porsche sign up?
I'm pretty sure.
There's 6 here. Let's go through the ones for sure. Is Renault, Red Bull / Ford.
Red Bull, Ford. That was a cool reveal.
Mercedes.
Yeah, Merc, Ferrari.
And then we've got
Porsche and Audi.
Yeah, Audi would be coming in, and then Honda. Honda has confirmed, but they don't have who they're going to be with yet.
Oh yeah, because
Porsche backed out, and that became Ford. That's what it was.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, and that's what's kind of cool too. Is like Red Bull that's almost becoming the second American team.
Yeah, and then if Andretti comes in,
yeah,
Yeah, that when they're Ford motor, they may not be able to go that fast, but they can tow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's looking up that 26 is going to be potentially a huge shakeup with all that, with the engine changes, probably regulation changes on the cars, and potentially 2 new teams.
Yeah.
Would be killer. So now we've covered the race. Driver of the week.
What about, okay, we haven't talked, there's a big, I mean, it's not a big elephant in the room, but there's one team we haven't talked about, which normally I would say I'm totally fine not talking about them, but we didn't talk about Merck at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't really do a lot.
Yeah.
They started up towards the top, they passed the Astons, and then slowly got passed by the Astons.
Yeah, and Hamilton, didn't he gain 2 positions?
Let me double
start
check
like
that.
7th and end up 4th or 5th?
Let's see.
Yeah,
he
5th.
ended 5th. He
He
qualified
started 7th.
Yeah. And Russell, meanwhile, dropped a position.
Right.
But
Which it was looking like Russell was going to be faster than Hamilton this weekend.
yeah. Well, and basically when Russell was behind him, he was like,
Yeah,
is this?
I got pace. And,
Yeah, he was like, are we going slow
and
for a reason? And they were like, no.
locked up on lockup corner because he's getting ready to rear end Hamilton, so that he locked up and went off track.
Which actually, real quick, talking about passing, we're going to go back to Alonso. When Alonso passed on that hairpin corner,
Yeah, that's lockup
enough
corner.
Yeah, I've played enough F1 because you always have to brace
insane.
Bahrain.
Yeah, and it's that like downhill
it's so hard to
swoop,
stop.
and then it's just a freaking
And
hairpin
he
right after it.
just whipped in there, and I was
Yeah.
like, they were like, oh, I've never seen that, and I was like, that's crazy. I was like,
Yeah, and like since we play F1, like the game, it's like I would never try to pass there.
No.
Like I'm just focusing on getting that corner perfect and not going off the track.
I almost never try to pass unless I've got DRS and I'm just like flying past somebody.
Yeah.
But like that was crazy.
I don't know. I'm a pretty aggressive driver in F1.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me. But so I get the feeling we're probably going to agree on this. But your driver of our driver of the week / weekend warrior for this week. I think the name has to at least be thrown out there. Fernando Alonso.
Verstappen.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yes, yes.
No, Fernando Alonso, hands down. Would
Because
be
I mean, Verstappen
driver of
drove
the
away,
weekend.
but both of those Red Bulls kind of just drove away.
Yeah, they got like rocket packs on the back of them.
Hey, you know what? If that's how they can be stopped, if they figure out they actually
do have a rocket
pack, and everybody like flags them down, it's like they can't have this. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, it doesn't say in the rules you can't have a rocket pack. And then
they'll have
everybody throws
they'll have a big round table discussion where
where they
Toto
yell.
starts stomping his feet.
This is
and
totally
getting out.
unfair.
This is totally unfair.
Damn it, Michael. That probably popped. I apologize if I just blew your speakers out in your car. But yeah, I mean, some other people had good drives like Albon getting in the points, stuff like that. But I mean, Alonso getting his 99th podium. I think they'd said hadn't had it. Like he broke the record for longest time between 2 podiums.
Oh, really?
Or something like that.
Yeah,
No, he was on podium last year.
He was on podium last year, yeah.
What the fuck were they talking about? They mentioned it. They said something about breaking Kimi Räikkönen's record, and I thought it was on podiums. But he was on a podium last year.
Yeah.
You were here last year.
Yeah.
Or wait, did he qualify top 3
maybe
last year?
that's
that
what it was.
I think that's
Yeah.
what it was, and then he dropped back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alpine wasn't on the podium last year. But yeah, so I think he broke that record, and I mean, yeah, Verstappen just has a monster car, and he's a monster driver. Yeah. That'll be his next thing. Actually, he'll just go drive monster trucks when he's done with this in 2 years. And honestly,
and that's the thing too. He's kind of like already being like, I don't know.
I'm tired of this.
Yeah, I've won a couple championships. I'm getting kind of bored of this.
He even said, I think during the year,
So he's not even like that. And I think that's even honestly, I think that's even more funny. Is like he stopped Hamilton from getting his 8th championship, and then basically is not even trying to like beat his record or anything.
Yeah,
like,
he's
just like, I won 2 or 3. That's all. That's fine.
Well, let's
go do monster trucks now.
He said basically that he might just leave.
Just do e-racing.
Well, he may just leave after his contract's up, which would be 2026. Oh. So he could retire right before all the big shakeup.
Yeah,
which would probably bad idea.
Which Hamilton should have fucking done.
Yeah.
In 2021.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's got to be Alonso driver.
Or was that 2020?
Before the shakeup, you mean?
No, 2022. I know was the shakeup. Oh no, because that we were just kind of saying, yeah, he should just friggin' retire after that Abu Dhabi race.
Yeah, after he lost.
Yeah, and cried.
Yeah.
To his dad in the pits.
But yeah. Oh. Yeah, there you go.
That was him at the end of 21.
But yeah, so I mean, okay, Fernando Alonso is our weekend warrior driver of the week, finishing P3 in the Aston Martin, which may be not an unusual thing this year, but it's unusual for at least the first race.
Yeah, and I'd like to see how Stroll is going to do with, like we were talking about earlier,
with 2 fully functional wrists.
Yeah, and just see like if Aston will be like a dominant force this year.
Yeah, it'd be. I'm interested to see it, and if Ferrari will keep shooting themselves in the foot. We'll see.
Well, I mean, I don't think so since they moved their strategist somewhere else.
Yeah, true.
They should probably just have Leclerc be their strategist while he's driving.
Yeah.
Because he was making some good calls last season on strategy.
But then they wouldn't listen to him.
Right.
Sainz was
because
the one.
They had a
Sainz would make
already.
the good decisions and then yell at him and be like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You can't make me. I'm in this car.
I'm in this car. I'm driving this son of a bitch.
And then next thing you know, they light it on fire from a remote control.
Yeah.
No, that's allegedly.
Right.
Don't sue us for that. And like anybody from Ferrari is going to hear this shit. But no, so Fernando Alonso, driver of the week. Congratulations. We're going to mail you, what are we giving away this year for that? Koozies? We'll mail him a koozie.
I think we got koozies and trucker hats.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll let you pick. Fernando, be in contact with our people at F1side-pod on Twitter. And you can tell us if you want a koozie or a trucker hat.
You don't get both.
No,
though.
you do. We have to stress this. You do not get both. We
Right.
have enough just for all the weeks of the race.
Yeah.
You do not get both. You have to contact us so we can figure out which one you want.
Yeah.
So, okay. Fernando Alonso, driver of the week. And after the break, we'll talk about next week. Welcome back after the break. I hope you had a good break. Maybe take a nap during that little interlude there.
Yeah, because if you didn't know, the music, when it starts, that's a pause point.
Yeah.
So then you could nap for 3 hours
and come back to us.
And come right back to us.
But you have to come back. Contractually, if you pause there, you have to come back to us.
Yeah, because that throws off our analytics if you don't come back. And I don't like seeing that.
It makes us look like a bunch of fucking vankers out there.
Right.
But yeah, so next week, right? Is it next week?
I think so.
Let me double check the timer. 11 days. That's not a week.
That's not a week.
Well, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 11 days isn't 2 weeks, but whatever. It's 2 weeks. No,
we got one next week.
What?
Saudi.
March 17th is when practice
Shit.
is.
No, I'm looking at the wrong.
Yeah.
I'm professional.
You'd think we would have looked at this before right now, but...
Yeah, because, I mean, we could have had the 2-hour break as well with them.
Yeah, we could have.
Could have looked all this up.
But, you live and you learn. So here we are. Anyways, so 2 weeks from now, Saudi Arabia, for a very specific reason, probably my least favorite race.
Really?
Because I can't unclench the entire race.
Oh, yeah. I do know what you're talking about.
I am so scared.
And I was talking.
These guys drive.
I was talking with Dan Ray yesterday.
Shout out to Dan.
Yeah, or not yesterday, but at work on Friday, talking about like this track is like that, and Silverstone is like that. This has those sweeping turns that like you just have to hit it.
Bow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a turn, and then. And if you hit it just wrong, I mean, you're going right into the
Well, and the walls
barriers.
Are right there.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of runoff space,
and that's what they were talking about in Drive to Survive with Mick Schumacher, was like those tighter tracks like that. He was like, almost intimidated by him, like scared that he was gonna wreck the car.
Yeah, like you've got to go a certain amount out of control.
He didn't have a good runoff spot.
Yeah.
If something were to go down, so it was like intimidating.
Yeah, because they just basically put, I think, concrete just all around that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, guess what? You mess up, your car's just gone.
Sorry.
Yeah, but like, it's so nerve wracking because it's such a tight track that like anytime somebody goes to pass, that's not like just on a DRS straight.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't do it, please.
Yeah, I know when I played the F1 2022, I hate that track. I can do Silverstone, I don't like it. And then also Jeddah, I'm not a big fan of.
This is Jeddah.
Oh, what's the last race of the season?
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, yeah, that's right.
Abu Dhabi, as I kept hearing Toto Wolff say in Drive to Survive. And I was like, he sounds like he's doing a Schwarzenegger impression. But yeah, I mean, it's just so. And I think that this may be the last year of this track because they had signed a deal with Saudi Arabia, but the track wasn't going to be ready yet. So this was actually just like a makeshift temporary track, which seems crazy.
Yeah, I think it's into contract, but I also think I saw something where they'll re-sign if they do the changes to the track that the FIA want them to do.
Well, I think they're still staying in Saudi Arabia. They just had another design.
Oh, another
and this
design.
This
is the last time on this
Yeah,
track.
yeah. I think it was what was it? They had an opening. Maybe it was a COVID thing, and they couldn't go to like Asia, one of the Asian tracks.
Yeah, well, that was
and they
China.
had the opening.
It was China because they did 2 races, I think, at Jeddah back.
They
to
did.
back.
No, they did.
Or was it Singapore?
What was it? During COVID when they cut out all the Asian tracks.
Yeah, they cut out China for sure.
And Japan.
Did they cut out Japan?
Yeah, because this was last year was the first year
they didn't
in, like,
even
3
race.
years.
They like just had an off week, didn't they? Like they didn't do a full 23 races.
They did 2 weeks at Red Bull.
2 weeks. That's what it was.
And then they did this one. I think wasn't supposed to be ready in time, or the actual one they're going to race at in Saudi Arabia wasn't going to be ready in time. So they just threw this together basically.
Right.
And it's serving its position basically until the other one is ready. But I think the other one may be better. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the layout even is. But especially when they go to the helmet cam on this race, it scares the hell out of me.
I like that's a required camera this year.
Yeah. It's
inside
very interesting and it
cam.
looks cool.
The
but
visor cam.
Yeah. Yeah, but on this track, I can't handle it. I'm like, oh god, we're gonna see this helmet cam, and then we're gonna see the feed
and
cut.
It's cool with it because Leclerc was the only driver last season that had it. He was like the trial.
They switched it around, but Leclerc had it a lot.
He had it a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like it seemed like they almost only went to it when it was on Leclerc, and he has a clear visor. So it was just like looking through a clear visor. Mm-hmm. But all these other guys, like they got like an amber colored visor, like tinted visors. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, this is even worse. I can't even see true colors either.
Yeah.
That was another thing at this race too. Did you hear about, because I think we were talking about this during qualifying, but the ripoff.
Yeah. Another one of them
we were
hit somebody.
talking with Dan about it yesterday in qualifying. And it got stuck in.
I don't even remember who they said. I don't remember who they said.
Side pod,
or maybe it just hit somebody's. And
it was stuck in someone's side pod.
But yeah, they talked about how they need to. They used to have like a basket inside the car. They had to rip it off
and stick it in the little.
And I mean, pocket. I don't hate it. I mean,
I think that's great because they were saying in qualifying yesterday that Sonoda, like how he's like, see that how they had to stick their hand way far out.
Oh yeah, so it doesn't get pulled into your intake.
So it doesn't get pulled into your intake.
Yeah, yeah, because it's almost like throwing a banana peel behind you in Mario Kart.
Yeah,
at times. But yeah, so the Jeddah Cornish circuit.
Cornish hen.
Yeah, I think of that every time.
Yeah.
It's a tight, essentially street race, even though it's not on actual streets, I don't believe. But do we want to go ahead do we want to do our prediction for third place?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 and 2, Verstappen, Perez.
Oh, I was going to say Perez third.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1, Verstappen. Okay, 2, go ahead.
I'm gonna give it to Leclerc.
Okay.
2.
And then 3, you're doing
Perez.
Okay.
And 4, Are we doing top 5?
Sure, we'll do top 5 because top 3 gets boring sometimes.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, it did last season.
Yeah.
Maybe not this season. 4, Alonso. 5, Sainz.
Okay, so Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Sainz.
Yeah.
Okay. So not what it would have been this week because Perez was second. Okay. So Verstappen 1, obviously. I'm gonna say Perez 2. I'll go Leclerc 3. I'll say Alonso. No, sorry. I'm gonna go Sainz 4, Alonso 5.
Oh, okay.
Just to mix it up a little bit.
The only reason I say Alonso ahead of Sainz was because he outpaced him this year. This track too.
Yeah, which I think there was some tire issues or something. Maybe,
there were rear tire issues.
I think there was a little bit of strategy issues.
Yeah,
but at least not as big as last year so far. And then Noah just texted me his predictions for top 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's got P1 Nick DeVries, interesting choice, going really ballsy on this one. P2 Valtteri Bottas, like him. P3 Logan Sargent.
Wow.
Big America supporter.
Yeah.
P4 Lando.
Noah is a red-blooded American.
Yes, yeah. P4 Lando Norris. So he thinks McLaren's really going to bounce back. And then, that's weird. P5, he says Nikita Mazepin.
Well, as last season, we're going to have to remind him that Mazepin's not racing anymore.
Sorry, he just responded. He said, sorry, I forgot Mazepin's not racing.
Okay.
He stopped last year. Or this year from last year.
Right.
So he says P5, he's replacing him with Mick Schumacher. So that's Noah's official predictions. And God, I wish I knew his Twitter handle that you could tweet at him if he got him wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't. But ours is at F1 side -pod.
-pod.
Yeah. You don't have to spell it out. It's actually a hyphen. But yeah, so those are our predictions. And wait, is that a driver coming over the hill?
Dark horse driver.
Our dark horse driver. So basically, that's the person we think is going to outperform the expectations, which currently we don't really have a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go.
Noah has some expectations.
Noah has big expectations. I'm going to go with Lando Norris because literally he can't do any worse than he did this week. I don't think, and I think that's a safe bet. But yeah.
I'm going to go with my man, K-Mag.
Yeah. Finished P13. Not great. They had an interesting strategy. So he was starting from the back, putting him on hards right off the bat.
I want to say he's going to get P8.
P8? That's not bad. It's possible. I'll say Lando Norris gets in the points because he was so far away from the points with obvious issues. But I think Lando Norris can seemingly drive any car really well.
Yeah.
Even if it is potentially a shitbox, as long as it's not actively dying on him.
He'll get the best out of the car he's given.
Yes. Yeah. And then, so then also our stat of the week, I guess. I like numbers. Yeah, stat of the week. That's what that means. Is we'll redo that at some point, but I don't know. Not for a while, probably.
No.
This is Max Verstappen's first time winning at Bahrain.
Really?
Yeah. Never won there before.
Because his engine crapped out last season.
Mm-hmm. And then,
they weren't as good the season before.
Yeah, basically. And then Mercedes was dominant the rest of the time. But yeah, so I think that was it was either his 9th or 10th time racing at Bahrain, and this is his first time ever winning.
So he's keeping that trophy.
Yeah, he'll
all
keep
these
that
other
one.
ones
All the
that
other
he's
ones
just
are in his
throwing out
storage
because it's
unit.
like, these are doubles.
Yeah, we've said at this point he's got like an addition onto his house or purchased a storage unit that he just throws all of his trophies into.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that he really likes. Like that big gorilla he got from France like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Can't throw that one away.
Yeah.
that was one of the dumbest trophies I've ever seen, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, so, I mean, looking forward to it. No, do we want to go through any sort of, since this is technically our first episode of the week, any sort of full-on season predictions? Did you have any?
I mean, we already the one that I have is like what we talked about at the beginning was congratulations to Max Verstappen for
just already winning. He's got it locked up.
Having the driver championship win of 2023, and we'll see 2024.
Yeah, for potentially a repeat. Who do you think is going to be? Because you mentioned you didn't think it was going to be Williams. Who do you think is going to be the last place team this season? I still think it's going to be Williams.
I don't. I think it's. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, hit it.
I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna say McLaren.
Makes me sad. It makes me sad.
I'm going extreme.
Yeah, hot take.
Hot take.
Like your hot take for last season was that the war in Russia was going to end and Mazepin was going to be back.
And here we are. We're still waiting. No, we are not at war.
No, Russia is.
It's a conflict.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's not technically.
I don't think
technicality. So. We'll get into that on our other podcast that we talk about just the Russian conflict.
We talk about our political podcast of.
It's called The Conflict.
Eastern European Political Hour.
Yeah. My big prediction for the season, I think I could see, for some reason, just gut instinct, whatever. I think AlphaTauri could cut Nick DeVries, or I just said a driver, but I'm leaning towards Nick DeVries.
They're not getting rid of Yuki. They're not getting. Oh yeah.
I think mid-season AlphaTauri might cut somebody mid-season and maybe throw Daniel Ricciardo into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
So
wouldn't it?
I don't know, but they've done it before. With Red Bull has done it before.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I just wanted to put that out into the universe so that if I'm right, I get the validation from like everybody who listens to this.
So if you get it right, do you get to choose between a koozie or a trucker hat?
Yes. Yeah. That's why we bought one extra.
Gotcha.
So I get to choose between it. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe when Noah's Power gets back on, we'll send him a koozie or a trucker hat to make him feel better.
What's Power? That's what he's saying. He doesn't even know
if he could only hear this.
It gets invented tomorrow, I think, in his universe.
If he could only hear this. But he can't because he doesn't have power.
Yeah.
So.
He's got to conserve his phone battery.
Yeah. So, well, there we go. I'm excited. We're back into the season.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Verstappen's already got it sewn up.
The break was quicker than I thought it was. Last year's break, I thought I was gonna
pass away.
Yeah, pass away or go crazy, just like in anticipation for the season to start.
Yeah, but no, I'm excited that it's back, and we're gonna give you all of our dumbass opinions that we're not gonna hold up at all, and we're never going to talk about after we say it right now.
We're going to totally forget it.
Yes, 100%.
Next week or in 2 weeks.
But maybe Noah will be back in the modern age in 2 weeks. And so you can follow us on Twitter, F1side-pod. If you're a business, you can email us, f1sidepod@gmail.com. But I've been Paul.
I've been Paul Wolf.
Wait, I've been Paul. What did I say? I've been Cody. That's Paul. Noah's in the dark ages.
Yeah.
And leave us a review on any podcast thing and say that we're pretty little boys.
Yep.
We'll see you.
Give us 3+ little stars.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks.